Networkers, hello. Again, Adam Yuhan coming at you with another quick Touch and Go podcast. This is a really special version of the Touch and Go podcast. I have with me a guest today who's in a unique experience and environment that most of us have gone through, or some of us have gone through, some of us are hoping to go through. The sound quality is going to be a little different today. I'm not in my booth. We don't have that capability when we've got somebody live with us. So we're just in the office and we're talking about getting ready for an airline interview, a major airline interview. We're going to leave the name out of the airline. We're going to leave the name out, the full name out of the individual about to get his interview. So let's welcome Ryan to the Pilot Network Touch and Go podcast. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Adam. Hey, and by the way, thanks for having me on here.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. This is exciting for me. I don't get to have guests normally to do this with me live and in person. So as we sit here and enjoy a beverage of undisclosed variety, let's talk about what's going on. So you have an interview upcoming, I think, next week, right?
Yeah. It's like the biggest interview of my life. I pretty much fell out of my chair when I got the email because I didn't expect it to come this fast. Just got surprised.
So yeah, surprised. I've been there. I've been surprised too by the email, by the interview offering. What's going through your mind? What are you feeling right now?
What am I feeling? It's a good question, Adam. It's a lot of the unknown. Just hearing that it's a really tough interview and trying to prep for it as best as you can, but not going crazy while looking into it. And it just yeah.
No, I know what you mean. Like, you don't want to go crazy, you want to overdo it. So what have you done outside of flying for the last 8-9 years of your life to prep for the interview? What have you done leading up to it? Well, let's go prior, because I know let's be candid with the listener. I know I've known Ryan for a good amount of years, and I know what he's done prior, but let's tell what a fellow networker out there, how you got started, and if you don't mind, you can share full disclosure and details how it all started for you when you were originally going, yeah, maybe someday I'll get this interview. What am I going to do? How did you start prepping before you got the invite?
You want me to tell me my life story, or
we can skip the intro, the full intro that we would do at an airline interview. Let's start with maybe about 2 years ago when you said, I want to be a major airline pilot, or I want to be an airline pilot for somebody other than Georgia Skies, because I believe you worked there for a while.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a pilot. Outside of that, what did you start to do? How did you start to build your resume, your future life on paper? How did you do that?
Well, if we go back a year ago, I knew I was on track. I had all the right credentials, and I think everyone knows what to do for that. You need your PIC, big jet time, or whatever, international time. But outside of that, you need to have something that'll separate yourself. But I knew I was on track, but I wasn't really focused because I haven't gotten a call yet.
Okay.
So, I got on with Emerald Coast a year ago, but I didn't take it seriously. I didn't listen to.
You wouldn't say. You wouldn't say.
Yeah. I didn't take it seriously. So, I didn't listen to any of the audio or videotapes a year ago, just because it didn't seem real. And then, almost a year to the day, I get the email, and then it got real. And then I started listening to the tapes and started researching gouge and everything. But, until you get that email, it doesn't feel like it's ever going to happen. You're just in this abyss of amongst all these other very qualified applicants out there that I don't know. It seems so far away.
Sure. Well, abyss, man, that's a great word. Like, I bet you a couple of the peeps listening up on this and friends that we both mutually have would call it an abyss.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know exactly who we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you start taking it seriously. You go, holy shit, I got an interview with a major airline. What's the first thing that you did? What's the first thing that came to your mind that, like, I have to do this now so I can go and be ready for this interview?
Can I back it up?
Go for it.
All right. I knew I was taking all the right steps to get an interview with Flying Wise, and I thought that was good enough. But really, honestly, I don't think it is. Take your upgrade, get your PIC.
Yeah.
But what you absolutely have to do is, go to the conventions, Women in Aviation or OBAP.
And you did. What did you do? You did both of those, or did you just do one or the other?
I just did one.
Okay. Which one did you do?
OBAP.
Okay.
And I thought that stuff was like, they don't listen to that, but I was thinking, I got a wide range of experience. So, I need to try something different. I just can't, beat my head against the wall, think that someone's going to look at me. They do look at that stuff, and they do look at your volunteer work, and so take that stuff seriously. For those of you, because I was once there, and hey, just be the good pilot, gain experience. They're going to see that. No, they want to see more. So go out there. So just to get that airline interview, you have to reach out and expand more. Because I took that step outside of that realm because I was narrow-minded or whatever. But step outside, volunteer, go to these conventions and try to be an active part of those conventions. That's what they really want to see. And they want you to be that person. Mm-hmm. Don't fake it.
Yep.
They'll definitely see through that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're really onto something there. It's amazing, even with guys who haven't gotten a call yet. It's like, well, they're just looking at a piece of paper, but in actuality, they're looking at the whole person, and it's almost like they can see through the piece of paper. And you nail it, be an active participant. So after you were an active participant, when you went to OBAP in Chicago, right? You went to the Chicago seminar there, and you thought. I remember talking to you, and you were like, "Yeah, it was. It's kind of whirlwind-ish. There's a lot going on, and you're hoping to get your 15 minutes of fame and maybe make that dent in going forward. And then you do, and then you get the email. You get this email that says, "Hey, by the way, we want you to come audition for this epic job opportunity," and you feel like the weight of the world is on you. I hope you don't feel like that now. I hope you feel psyched and ready to go. But when that email came through, what was your initial response? What was the next thing that you wanted to do? The second you read that email, aside from maybe making a phone call back or sending a reply email saying, "Yeah, okay, I want to do this," or whichever company it might be, what was your first response?
Well, I jumped up and down, fist pumping in the sky, of course. But then reality hit. I was like, oh God, I'm not ready for this right now. If I were to do this interview tomorrow, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to begin. So immediately I started calling people who I knew who interviewed at this airline. Starting all over the internet, looking all over the internet. So then I got to, I guess, channel my thoughts or channel my thinking.
Yeah.
Because you're going a million miles an hour all over the place. Thinking about the interview long before the interview is even right in front of you, and it is overwhelming.
Yeah, overwhelming, I guess, isn't the word we would use, because overwhelming doesn't feel like it covers enough. It's amazing how a group of individuals who are very attention detail oriented and slightly perfectionist minded, and then A-type personalities turn into quivering blobs of nothing when they get the opportunity of a lifetime put in front of them, and they have to reconfigure their thought process. And I'd say, so far from what I've seen, obviously, you've done a great job of reconfiguring your thought process, and you have to reorganize. You have to reprioritize everything. Everything else falls behind. It's almost that you have to tell everybody else, hey, I've got this coming up, and I need to focus on it, which is different than a lot of other industries out there. So you reconfigure, you have your thought process laid out. What's the step that you first take then after you go, okay, now I got to do this. I've got to study X, I got to study Y, I got to study Z, or I've got to organize my paperwork. I have to make sure that I'm well put together. Do I have to go buy a new suit? When do I have to maybe schedule my manicure? Yes, I did get a manicure network. That is true. I got a manicure before my Delta interview, and obviously it paid off because I did terribly otherwise. No, I tease you. I did well on a bunch of things. I still think I failed that knowledge test, and they still passed me on it. But how do you take what your initial reaction is and how you've worked for this, and then you go, okay, I am going to climb this mountain one step at a time. The first step I have to take is what? What did Ryan take for the first step?
I would say I knew that the knowledge and cognitive portion of this interview is, may come natural for some, but not natural for others. So I didn't want to wait till the last second to try to get myself prepped for that. So that was the first thing I tackled, was to make sure I'm good and ready on that. So I just started making sure I'm good on that. And right now, I don't know I'm good on it. I won't know until the, doomsday.
Until after it's over, yeah, it's tough.
So it could all be for naught, but prepping for that, and I was starting to feel more comfortable, but then your brain starts to wander. Once you're comfortable with that, it's like, all right, well, now what? Is like what you said, is your suit ready? What do they want to see at the interview? And you hear a bunch of things from people who've gone and interviewed that they want to see the colors of the company. And then you hear people who just came back from the interview, and they're like, no, that didn't matter at all. So now, which one do you go? And then there's all these conspiracy theorists, like we talked about earlier, that there's certain things you have to do, like where they give you, hello, my name is Ryan. Do I put it over my left shoulder, or do I put it underneath my right shoulder? It's then once you start getting in the weeds, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna throw that aside. Don't get wrapped around the axle.
Yeah, is my third water too many, or should I have just stuck with 2 bottles of water?
Yeah.
Did I overdo it on the water? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I had a cup of coffee. Should I have not had a cup of coffee? Yeah, I understand what you mean. Totally, 100%.
So you start reading in the interviews about that, and once you get past that, you're kind of battling 3 fronts now. You still want to stay sharp on your knowledge and cog. You want to look good for it. I even planned out my haircut properly. I was like, I don't want to get it too early. I want to have it just the right length.
72 hours prior. Perfect time. 72 hours prior. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm even planning out my haircuts for this stuff. And, God, where was I going with this? But
no, right. I totally understand. What you're doing is you're prioritizing what do I need to do immediately after. It's almost it's kind of like flying an airplane. What are my immediate threats? What are my intermediate threats? And then what can I wait for down the road?
I was like, coming up to the next thing was getting your paperwork ready.
Oh, yeah.
Making sure that's tight.
It's huge.
When you think about a check ride, you're worried about just like, filing down the line of, am I ready to fly? Do I know enough? So you're preparing for the ground and flight portion. And then you forget that you have to sign the paperwork to take this aircraft. And that's kind of like in the back of your head, but you forget about it. So now you have to brush up probably right before the interview on how you make sure that stuff is tight, that everything in your aircraft forms are correct. And that's pretty much what this interview is, that you have to present this. You've been working on the full package, but you still have to make sure that this aircraft is airworthy.
Yeah. You know? Are you airworthy?
Am I airworthy? Yeah. So and don't neglect that portion of it. But,
no,
but yeah, in the last week or so, is like I just need to start making sure this was all in line. Make sure you got your ducks in a row. Because with paperwork, if you don't have the right stuff, there's other external factors that you're paranoid of that won't work fast enough to get you that paperwork to present to them.
Sure, yeah.
And it's not even on you, but like if you didn't start it in enough time, then it is on you.
Yeah, it's it's always your fault. It's always your fault. One thing, and I'll tell you for your future relationships, and for all the guys out there who are in Ryan's shoes, if you just accept that it's always your fault. And for the guys who are married, they understand this. If you just accept it's always your fault, you will always come out ahead. You may lose most of the battles. In fact, you may lose the war. But you will go to sleep at night peacefully. And going to sleep at night peacefully will always rue the day. And I think that goes for the interview. If you feel, like you said, okay, I've got all my paperwork, all my ducks are in a row. I've done all the studying I can do. I feel comfortable. I feel confident. That night before, instead of getting 2 hours of sleep because you aren't confident and comfortable, you may get 4 hours of sleep. That 2 hours is the extra oomph you have in your step when you walk in and you feel confident. So I guess to kind of wrap this up, do you feel nervous now? Do you feel confident now? Do you feel excited now? Are you just dreading to get it over with? Which it doesn't seem like you are, knowing who you are. Where do you stand being on the precipice of not only an awesome opportunity, but a chance to go see a place where, because let's be honest, when we go interview for a job, we interview the company that we're going to work for. It's a little different in the airline world where we're going, oh, please take me. I want to do right by you. I will do everything that you ever ask of me. But where do you stand when you're looking at this now and all the prep work you've done and knowing personally that you've prepped more than others that I've known, how the effort level that you've put towards this and the care and feeding and concern that you've had is truly, it's stunning to watch the individuals go through this transformation. And then when you get the job means that much more to you. But where are you standing right now when you're staring down the interview coming up here shortly?
I'm feeling more confident, let's say, but definitely there's always going to be nerves. You won't be able to get rid of that.
No, can't.
Yeah. But what gives you that confidence and start thinking about this early, because in my thoughts, I was like, I'm going to take the first airline that gives me a call. And that's just it. But when you start thinking about it and start breaking it down, you really start thinking about like exactly why you like this company, why it's a good fit for you. And that only starts like when you start thinking about it early. And when I first got the email, I was overwhelmed, and I didn't have all the thoughts that I have right now, ready and passionate for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can start setting the foundation for that passion early if you just start thinking about stories relating to how it relates to that company. Then you end up falling in love with the company.
Yeah.
But I'm saying all this, and it could all be for naught. You know? Like I could end up saying to hell with them if they didn't take me. But right now,
you mean the pretty girl who rejects you at the bar?
Yeah.
And you've never been rejected by a pretty girl at a bar ever.
Oh, never.
So so I think we're set. Well, I'll say this, network, that Ryan is a unique individual, but not unique story. You're all going to go through these. I went through it. And we got to expose some people out there today to that feeling, that up close personal feeling of, holy cow, this is not too far away. And instead of being nervous or scared or unwilling or unwanting to talk about it, to launch headfirst into it and to be excited about what's going to happen. The nerves are going to be there, like you said, right? That is part of the process. And well, first of all, this is such a cool opportunity for me to talk to somebody like you outside of the professional environment. But the fact that I get to do this on a professional side, it's cool to talk to somebody on a personal side and expose a bunch of people to it who won't get to see it until they're right in the smack dab middle. So Ryan, thanks a lot. Do you have any parting thoughts that you want to pass on to all of the network out there? There's 8,500 of them, so this is your chance. Tell them what you think that they should know. See, and by the way, folks, this is a interview question to put a little pressure on Ryan, so we're working him up. We're getting him ready.
Oh, fantastic! Good prep. I would say don't be like scanning your instruments right now. You can go make yourself crazy by just thinking about everything and anything before you even get the call. Don't get all riled up until you get the call. You know, you don't have to over prep. You'll be overthinking things before things even start.
Sure.
So just take life as it be, you know, and just try to make your application as best as possible. But until you get the call or the email for the interview, then turn it up 10 notches.
Yeah.
You know, that's where you need to like get your war face.
Yeah, war face. I love it. Put your war face on.
Yeah, like that's where you really need to turn it up, because if you'll burn yourself out if you are thinking. If I, like last year, was thinking that way, I would have burnt myself out. I would have been lackadaisical right now. So save your energy for when it comes. Yeah. For when the battle's on the rise.
I like that. As Bobby Knight would say, what's the game face? Put your game face on when? Well, how about better? Put your war face on. Put your war face on when the call comes. Well, Ryan, thank you very much for joining us. The network thanks you for joining them and being willing to talk about this so close to a big moment in your life. And maybe if Ryan is so kind, we'll have him back, and we'll do this after he's got a nice conditional job offer with the airline of awesomeness that he's with, and we'll make sure that that airline knows right now that he has recommendations from every single person that's ever flown with him. He's the man. Hire him, and if you don't, somebody else will. So be careful. Don't say no. Anti-Nancy Reagan. Don't say no. Say yes to Ryan. So, again, network, thank you for joining us. We look forward to jumping in with another podcast. It'll be a little different. Maybe it'll be an interview with Ryan, or maybe you'll hear my lovely voice for a couple of minutes. Or I think there might be something with Matt and I talking about Delta Airlines next time. He might have been down at the training center doing a course that all of you could possibly do too. So, we'll talk to you next time, network. Remember, fly safe, network strong.